So on the first day of my investigation to catch the worst spy, the most damaging spy in US history, he sat me across the desk from him and he told me words that I will never forget, that I've carried throughout my entire career since then. Now, to set the stage a little bit before I tell you what he said, Robert Hanssen was our most damaging spy. For over 22 years, he stole information from within the FBI, stealing information from other agencies so that when he dropped that information, and by drop I mean clandestinely got it to his Russian spy masters, they didn't even know who he was. And during that time, he stole nuclear secrets, he ruined undercover operations, he gave up the names and identities of undercover operatives like myself that were working overseas. He even gave up the names of people who were our spies over in Russia, who were shot and killed. They don't use a lot of high-profile attorneys and big courtroom dramas over in the times of the Soviet Union. It was just a quiet room, a gun to the back of the head, and you're done. So he was a bad guy. And on this first day of this investigation, where I'm supposed to figure out if this is the spy we've been hunting for 20-some years and a way to catch him, he looks at me and he says, "Eric, the spy is in the worst possible place." Now imagine what I was thinking at that time. Like, I'm supposed to catch this guy. I'm the spy hunter. Why is he telling me this? Is he just trying to put me off myself, back on my heels? Is he challenging me to catch him? Or is he just really trying to tell me something about what we were supposed to be doing within FBI headquarters? Cybersecurity. See, Robert Hanssen wasn't just the most damaging spy in US history. He was our first cyber spy. The way that he did what he did for so long without being noticed, without being found by the greatest spy hunters in the United States, was by stealing from computer systems within the FBI that were never built to defend against a spy, a trusted insider, a mole. So I looked at him and I said, "So, boss," I had to call him boss or sir, that was his rules. "What do you mean by that, a spy is in the worst possible place?" And he said, that spy is in that place where he has access to the most damaging information and the wherewithal, the knowledge, to sell it to those who are going to pay him the most money for it. And our job in counterintelligence is to hunt that spy in the worst possible place. And we've made it easy for the spies, because as we took information that was primarily in paper, and we placed it into computer systems and networked it and added the cloud and have made communications instant, and we're not going to be happy until it's the speed of thought, we've opened the doors to spies. Now, you'll hear me never say the word hacker when I'm talking about attackers. In fact, what I want you to take from this couple of minutes of remarks, if nothing else, is this. There are no hackers. There are no hackers. There are only spies. Hacking is nothing more than the necessary evolution of espionage. As we moved paper to data, as we moved that data into computer systems and made it the currency of our lives, the spies have had to evolve. Get out of your mind that Hollywood version of a hacker. Everybody put it in your mind real quick, right? Now I'm going to explain it to you. It's a guy on a keyboard, hoodie, sitting in a dark basement, yells at his grandma to leave him alone, pounds an energy drink, grabs some bad carbs, shoves them in his mouth, and hits one key and says what? Every time in every movie and TV show. I'm in. Into what? Harry Potter might as well walk across that screen and wave his magic wand and say, I'm in too, because that's magic. It's not the way it happens. It's spies, intelligence officers, cyber criminals, those who are leveraging the best technology and sophisticated attacks who are attacking people. You can always fool a person. It's harder to fool a computer system. And we're making it easy for them. In the last Verizon report, 63% of these massive breaches that are happening are because of a bad password or bad password security. I mean, we're not even trying if that's the case. Why? In the last number of years, over 2 billion records, usernames, passwords, all this kind of stuff have been stolen from breaches. And if we don't change our passwords, if we don't use two-factor authentication, all the bad guys have to do is go on the dark web and buy username and passwords and try it out on accounts until they hit. And it happens all the time. We also have an email problem. We are becoming a nation, a world, a community of introverts. Most business is transacted on emails. When I sometimes ask this question, What's the main way that we transact business in the world? As my crowds get younger, some of the younger crowds will say, texting. Not yet. We're getting there. I mean, if you look at my kids, it's all texting. We will have birthday parties where I'll look, and in the back of the room, all the kids are just sitting there next to each other, not playing, but texting each other. And so we take all the cell phones away, and there's almost a riot on our hands. But right now, it's still email. And we've got an email problem. And email can become our downfall because we don't know whether you can trust that person who sent the email. You have to build massive amounts of intrinsic security into that email system. But email can cause untold damage. And I want to tell you one story about probably the best case as in cybersecurity nerd, not best case as in was bad for our nation, spear phishing email that has happened in our lifetime. This happens in 2016. In 2016, a little known thing happened and went right by, and we don't talk about it anymore, an election. March of 2006, nobody remembers this, right? No, it was one of the biggest elections in history, right? And two people going face to face, big national security implications. And in March, the chairman of the Hillary Clinton campaign is sitting there on his cell phone going through his email on a Sunday morning. And he stops at one that causes him concern. And it says, from the Gmail security team, we have blocked an attempt to compromise your account. Whew. Well, that's scary. But you should go directly to our website and change your email immediately. Click here, big red click here button. Now, this is of concern to him because it's his Gmail account and he uses it completely for his business. And he's been using it for years. Does he click? How many people think he clicks? All right. How many people think he doesn't click? He doesn't click. End of story. No, not the end of story. He doesn't click. He knows enough not to click. He's running one of the most important campaigns in our history, right? He doesn't click, but he punts. He sends it to his chief of staff. She looks at it, has no idea what to do, and sends it to an IT manager for the Hillary campaign. All this happens within 1 hour on a Sunday morning. He gets it, and he knows exactly what to do. He knows this is a spear phishing email. It looks good. I mean, the fonts are good, the grammar's good, the spelling's all right, the logo is perfect, but he knows that it's coming from a spear phishing attack. So what does he do? Well, we know everything that happened. We know everything that happened because it's all on WikiLeaks. Ladies and gentlemen, that's called foreshadowing. We authors use that to sort of drive our point home. Does he get in his car and drive to the chairman of the Hillary Clinton campaign's house and kick in this guy's door and grab the phone out of his hand and throw it in the toilet and flush 3 times? It's a question. No, that's what I would have done, but I'm a little crazy when it comes to security. Does he pick up the phone and call the guy? I mean, he's sitting there on his phone and say, hey, set your phone down, don't touch it, because we're going to have to look at that. No, he doesn't. He sends an email. Exactly, he sends an email. Let's just cause more insult to injury here. And the email says, this is a legitimate email. But you should go to Gmail's website directly and click and change your password. Now, the chairman claims that his assistant did it. The assistant claims he did it. It doesn't matter. There's no two-factor authentication on the account, so 2 assistants can use it. Bad mistake. But they see this is a legitimate email. That's good enough. Change the, click on the link. It goes to a dummy website, puts it in his username, puts it in his password, and the password he'd like to change it to, which is just a dummy, it doesn't matter, and gives tens of thousands of his emails to the Russians. Now, that IT manager meant to say this is not a legitimate email, but damn you autocorrect. That's why email can fool you, right? So huge problems, tens of thousands. Now, while the Russians were after him, that was one intelligence officer in Russia in the GRU, the military side of the intelligence units, probably had parades because he got this guy. But they were trying to phish everyone in government, hundreds of people in government, in staffers for both campaigns. And they managed to get tons of different ones. They bought servers overseas in Europe using Bitcoin. They even rented a server in Arizona so they could mask the IP addresses that they were attacking from. And they were extremely successful in stealing information and leveraging it by curating all those emails they got from all these different people and weaponizing it and putting it on WikiLeaks bit by bit just before the election, just to make us feel in America that the election didn't matter, that someone could get involved, that they could see what we were going to do. So what can we do? Well, there's two big things that we really need to do, and it's all of my work as a spy hunter, a national security strategist for Carbon Black, but what we're doing with the technology. The first is we need cybersecurity. We need counterintelligence for cybersecurity. And that means that we need to hunt threats before they hunt us. If data is the currency of our lives, we need to hunt the threats before they get at the data. So we're looking at moving security as close to the person who's going to screw up as possible, which is why we're focusing in on the endpoint. You move that security to that phone or laptop that you're using in some hotel that might not be secure or some other country. And you move that security so it blocks those attacks just as they happen, and so that you can go back and see exactly what happened and prevent future attacks. Second, we need collaboration in cybersecurity, much more collaboration. That means that we need to be able to make sure that if one party in an ecosystem, if one phone or one laptop is attacked, that we're making everything else secure. That will make building these very expensive and detailed and sophisticated malware very cost ineffective for the attackers. And remember, when these attacks hit, there's supply chains. An intelligence service might build the malware, but then when they're done with it, they dump it on the dark web, and it's sold. And then cyber criminals, remember I don't use hackers, cyber criminals will buy it and attack with it. So there's a lot that we have to do. And in thinking of this, in thinking of Hanssen's law, I decided I really need to update this. We need a Hanssen's law for the modern era of cyber attacks, of these massive breaches that are happening again and again and again. And in writing Grade A, I was thinking about this the entire book, and at the very end, I decided I'd come up with O'Neill's law in a nod to my old boss, and it is this: there are no hackers. There are only spies. Hacking is nothing more than the necessary evolution of espionage. We have to hunt the threats before they hunt us, because the spy is always in the worst possible place.